New year, same old House of the Dead. Yes, I know it's been some time since I talked about these games. To be honest, it's been some time since I've posted on this platform altogether. But I feel like given how much you love to hear me talk about these games, I felt it was only right to come back and do it again. But this time, things are different. I'm sorry folks, but this time, I'm not going to be so positive about things. Yes, despite how much I love these games, there are a few parts that I don't like. So given that I had already in the past talked about some of the best bosses in the series, I now feel it's my duty to shit on those that really end up letting these games down. The rules are simple. I will be covering these bosses on a set criteria. That being why I either don't like their design, they are lacking in character, or, more importantly, how much they suck to fight. After all, I can excuse a bad design if I always look forward to the fight on repeat playthroughs. But if the boss is shit altogether, it's gonna massively weigh it down more. And a quick disclaimer, I will be sticking to the arcade entries only. Sorry for those of you who love, or in this case maybe hate, certain overkill bosses, but due to not getting around to playing it as of yet, I don't feel it would be right for me to talk about these bosses I haven't fought personally. I'll get round to overkill at some point, I promise, just let me have this. With all that said and done, strap in, get out your AMS issued PDA as I cover the top 10 worst House of the Dead bosses. Surprising everyone, including myself, with its placement is the tower.
What is it?
But due to how I rank this list, it has to be here. And heck, I'll give these guys the benefit of the doubt and say that they are mostly here on a place filler basis. Given how the last ranking was a top 10, I didn't feel like making a top 9. You know, didn't sound as good. So, here we go. My main critiques of this boss would probably go to how quickly the fight with him is over and how his attacks are mostly the same and have little or next to no variety. And even the pace of the fight is helped with how fast his attack speeds are, and that kind of plays into his aggression, which boosts him up enough to keep him anywhere lower on this list. Still, his gameplay is solid as well, but it doesn't hold a candle to some of the better bosses in the series. In terms of his design, it's okay, it's serviceable. I feel they could have added a little more personality into the mix, with each individual head maybe having a unique set of facial scars or structure to it, or maybe facial animations. I don't know. I get the game's quite old, so maybe these weren't really allowed due to technical limitations. And, you know, maybe giving the boss a little more character other than, you know. But still, he's okay just overall. Not good enough to keep up with those above him, but not bad enough to sit further down with those below him. So he's going to sit here at the number 10 on this list. So, another semi-slot filler. Semi in the way that I don't like this boss, but I don't hate them enough. So we're here to tackle the lovers. Now, these two are a weird combination, and one I think that could work if they weren't too easy of a fight, hence why they're on the list. As for their design, the lovers are two spiders, the large one being the female and the small one being the male riding on its back. The only way to damage them is to target the small male. This is an okay concept that works pretty well, nothing cool or stand out, but their fight and attack patterns really let them down. Basically, you aren't really in any danger for the majority of the fight, due to how a lot of their attacks can just simply stun the player, forcing them to wiggle out, and it's a very easy wiggle out from this as well. So there's no real threat, and their character design are kinda mid, as well as their actual character being non-existent. It's a shame, because there isn't anything here that really makes me want to hate this boss. Oh wait, what is she doing? Oh, she's given birth. No, thanks, no thanks. Right, moving on. Enough. I've seen enough. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye. So, given how this series had evolved over the years, it mostly moved in a good direction. The graphics are improved, the gameplay is getting smoother as time went on, and even the bosses got better mostly, in my opinion. But even with all of that, not all of these newer bosses were always so great. The High Priestess is a big disappointment and wasted opportunity. For starters, I have no fucking idea what she is supposed to be, besides maybe something she really shouldn't be compared to. And her character, again, just boils down to just screaming at you with what almost sounds like a pissed off whale noise. Then, when it comes down to her fight patterns and behaviour, she isn't very interesting, as it mainly just running away from her in a tight, cramped tunnel which she can barely fit into. While it's nice and claustrophobic, her slow movement speed combined with the lack of threat kind of ruins her threat in the situation, and despite her immense size and tentacles, it's almost like she struggles to keep up with the player, which is all the more confusing when she slips away so quickly after you fight her off. I say fight her off and not damage her, as upon hitting her tentacles, you do no damage to her. Instead, she just kinda stands there and shakes it off, despite the PDA showing she has weak points that do nothing. This lack of impact in a fight weighs on me, whereas in the fight with Temperance, where she starts shaking it off and begins to push back away from the player, here it feels more like weird behaviour on the Priestess's part. The end of the fight is okay, with you dousing it in whatever flammable liquid is in that container and setting it ablaze, seeing its toothy maw fall back into the water. But overall, this boss really doesn't do much, and she's just really disappointing.
Are you okay?
I was so scared!
Chariot is the first ever boss in the House of the Dead series, and so, some would say, he sets the benchmark going forward. Hence why, personally, I cannot put him any higher on the list. You know, it kind of feels like picking on the weird kid at school. Then again, I was the weird kid at school, so it's kind of like picking on me. Point aside, Chariot is still boring. He has literally borderline no attacks. He gets stunned and pushed back for the entire fight, leading to him being no threat, or the fight being engaging at all. His character is okay, but even then, there isn't much to that anyway. I will give points towards his design because that is his only good quality, and it does make him stand out. But at least in the remakes, they gave him a nice shiny new coat of paint, as well as a better fight, more engaging attacks, and made him threatening as well. But in the end, I can't ignore how boring his first outing is. I'm just thankful that Scarlet Dawn made him a whole lot fucking cooler. What's better than one chainsaw? Well, you'd assume two, but in this case, that's not exactly the case. Empress doesn't even come close to strength in terms of enjoyment for me. Her design is okay, although a little confusing. She kinda looks like Chaos Zero's more edgier older sister, and she doesn't even have a character either. Starting to notice a pattern here. Her fight is annoying at worst and mid at best, and she either rushes you down or chooses to use the train carriage you ride on for cover. Within practice, sounds cool, but can be extremely infuriating, as sometimes it feels like there are no proper window placements for you to damage enough to stun her, therefore feeling like you keep taking cheap hits. I will give props to the setting, as a fast moving subway train is a cool place to set up a fight. Maybe could have done a bit more with this though, you know, I don't know, shooting zombies on the other side of trains before they crash into yours, or setting up a time limit for the fight, you know you're approaching a station. But it made me question why Empress didn't just use the other trains to her advantage, the ones that the zombies were on, as much as they were doing nothing, as well as leap between them, making her harder to hit, but leaping across at Kate and James to attack them. That would have been so cool to see, as well as give her a bit more threat as she express high mobility, as well as lethality by being able to jump between two fast moving trains. Again, a lot of wasted potential from a cool concept, and sometimes the classic is just better. But her death was pretty funny, so yeah, props to you Sega for that one. House of the Dead 2 is a game some would say is the best in the series, and in some ways I would be inclined to agree. It's got fun gameplay, fantastic gunplay, great alternative pathways, and of course, great bosses. Oh wait, never mind. The Hierophant is depressingly disappointing in so many ways. His design and idea is cool, but everything else is so boring. His attacks are too easy, and he moves as slow as anything. With both of these aspects combined, this severely downgrades how threatening he feels and looks. And he just sits there and thrashes around almost like he's crying about how he's hurt. I mean, what the fuck is he doing? Just standing there wiggling around, waiting for James and Gary to put a bullet in his chest. Come on, man. I hate to hate this guy, but he's so disappointing. For a borderline Fish King merman thing, there's just so much missed potential. Kind of a running theme here I'm starting to see.
Must compliment you. I didn't think you could make it this far. However, this is it. Let's see how good you really are.
Hermit is a large spider that...
Crab.
Wait, what?
It's a crab.
No, it's a spider.
Listen here, you blind ginger fuck. It's a crab. That's why it's called Hermit. Like the crab.
How does it even remotely look similar?
It looks like a fucking spider crab.
You know what? Never mind. It lives with Curian inside Curian's biolab. Now on paper, this sounds cool. Maybe it's a tactical hunter that hides and strikes, suddenly only giving the player a slight moment to defend ourselves, making it a tense and dangerous fight where it hides in all the shrubbery surrounding. But nope, its fight is slow, clunky, and isn't over quickly enough, adding to how boring it is, overall making this fight a lot worse than fucking Chariots in my opinion. I mean, at least Chariot's the first boss. And this fucker comes after Hanged Man, who, although super annoying, is one of my favourites and one of the coolest bosses in the series. I mean, for Christ's sake, Hermit comes just before Magician, if we don't count rematches. With its such tedious length, kind of shitty, well, okay, relatively okay design, and lacking attacks or any form of variety or anything fucking interesting, It's just a lazy fight, and I have no problem putting this fucker in the 4th place on my list. Now we are getting on to the bosses that really piss me off when I have to fight them. And what better way to start than with the sun?
Finally, we're out. But what the hell is that thing?
Watch out! Lisa, this way.
I'm not ready to be pushing up daisies just yet.
This discount piranha plant motherfucker is the episode of Drawn Out and Annoying. This fight goes on for well too long. So long, in fact, I end up getting cramps in my hand because of how much it fucking hurts to pump lead into this thing. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing causes me literal trigger finger. As for its design, the pillar of heads in the middle is a nice touch, and it does raise many questions about either it being a single mind or a hive mind, or maybe it being an amalgamation of all the victims that have fell to the plant itself, but believe me when I say that's the only fucking thing this thing has going for it. His attack patterns are annoying, some are okay, but most are awkward and don't allow you to damage it directly. Instead, you're left mashing the trigger into all those faces in the center until your hand or your sanity depletes at that point, and at that point, I don't care. Or it just hopefully fucking dies. But unlike this boss, this segment in the video won't go on for fucking ever. So before I lose my shit and die from all the fumes of weed killer I want to drown myself in this fucking plant in, let's just move on, shall we?
I never was any good at gardening.
You are a fucking disappointment. This is the ugly blemish of a boss that ruins the otherwise perfect game that was House of the Dead 2. And of course, this fucker had to be the final boss of the game. His attacks are boring. Half of them are just copies of previous bosses, and they are janky to say the least. I get what they were trying to do by having the Emperor being the one who rules over nature, and how that means he can be this all-knowing creature that may have even helped Goldman create these new batch of creatures, although that is a slight bit of headcanon. Do not take that as gospel, please. As for his design, what the fuck is this thing supposed to be? It's vaguely human in its design, although no grotesque markings on it, making it drastically different from all of the other bosses put together, and not in a fucking good way that makes him stand out. Some of you may argue that this could be due to him being Goldman's creation, but to that I say, you may have a point, but it's the only boss to do so. As for his character, there really isn't one at all. He doesn't feel threatening in the slightest. He just simply exists on top of the Goldman building, and then he's just there. He doesn't give us, the player, a reason to find him threatening. He doesn't display his power or reasoning for why he's doing what he does. And that's just sad, because comparing him to Magician, who literally was the fight before, he's just a complete downgrade. And honestly, it just hurts to know this guy exists in what is one of my favourite games in the series. And that is why this blueberry motherfucker is the biggest disappointment in the entire series. So, what's worse than a boss that brings down a perfect game? How about a shit stain that hurts an entire series? Okay, please, hear me out on this, but there is a reason why I hate this boss more than any other within this entire series. And we'll start with the one positive thing that I have to say about it, so you all don't think I'm just mad because bad. And that's this boss's character, and how this is a Curian clone, meaning that after so many years, we finally had a chance to truly fight Curian ourselves, and not just watch him get game ended right in front of us. Now with that over, oh boy, this fight is ass. The gameplay is so unbalanced, there are so many attacks that are downright unfair, and this is the case for one simple reason. This boss was designed to be a coin eater. And by that I mean, in the arcades, this boss was designed to basically drain your wallet of cash so they can make more money, and this is just disgusting. Compare this to the rest of the series where you have bosses that require skill-based, timing to fight off their attacks, not monetary practices. Now don't take this as me hating challenge, as my favourite boss in the entire series does this without feeling like absolute bullshit. So let me make a quick comparison, and we'll use Magician. So both bosses fly around the screen at ludicrous speed and fire energy projectiles at the player that when hit will cause damage. And Wheel of Fate does this as well. So what makes them so different? And it's in this different that, is the respective gameplay of both games. You see, House of the Dead 3's reload takes time, whereas House of the Dead 2's is near on instantaneous. This simple factor means that due to how long reloading takes you, you end up just having enough downtime in a fight where you can't attack, and that you end up basically trading hits with this boss. Given how not a single one of the attacks of this boss can be stopped by a single mag, no matter how well you place your shots, sometimes it genuinely feels like it is impossible to beat this boss without taking damage. Yes, I know there are those out there who can do it, but I'm talking more from a casual point. The majority of arcade goers and fans of this series that the fan base was built on. Also, feeling like this segment of the video is long as fuck, well guess what? So is the fucking fight. It's so damn long that at one point he refills his fucking health bar. I know that technically this isn't true given how the health values don't increase, but visually this looks really bad given how much of a fight you've already gone through to get to this point. In conclusion, this boss is too long, too difficult, to the point of feeling like bullshit, and is disgusting monetary practice that stains not only this game that I personally love more than any other in the series, it leaves a horrible stain on the House of the Dead series as a whole. I am the Ginger Gamer, and I will see you in the next one.
This is our future. We'll handle it ourselves. You've got bigger problems to worry about.
Yeah, well, fuck off back to hell, Curian, and tell the devil I fucking sent you. Okay, we're going to make this outro a brief one, not too long because this video has been long enough. It has been long enough in the making, God forbid I disappear off the internet because my life kicks into gear. Third year of uni has just started, guys, so trying my best to start making content again. I thought I'd come back to House of the Dead, obviously, because it was enjoyable. But thank you all for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed. If you are new and you do like House of the Dead content, please keep showing your support for these videos and I will happily keep making them. I've got a few more ideas for the series. Obviously I spoke about a timeline. I might do a continual review series where I go through each game in the saga and cover them all. But for now I'm just going to keep making what I enjoy, and if you guys have suggestions please leave them below and I'm more than happy to talk to you about them. Or just make them for you guys because I make the content for you. So yeah, take care guys, and I'll see you next time when I eventually emerge from my hole again to upload a random video 6 months after I go missing. See you around.